I think, though, it's clear that certain MPs have been bought. And, you know, it's a bit, I presented recently at a Bitcoin meetup here in Belfast, and they asked me to comment about the one of the big conspiracies around the whole thing has been the involvement of the World Economic Forum. And a good example of this is a good example of the kind of conspiracy is the whole smart cities initiatives. And you know, the World Economic Forum has a smart cities chapter, in effect, you know, an organization within an organization, which I believe is organized by Klaus Schwab's own son, Olivier. Yeah.
It's the World Economic Forum Smart Cities group. They see a Klaus Schwab's son.
So yeah, the World Economic has this smart cities initiative, and there are a number of cities that were invited to participate in the rollout of a global program, essentially organized by the WEF. Yeah, the Global Smart Cities Alliance.
Lovely. Yes. Ah, there we are. The future of cities. This is similar to the stuff
you'll see on this list that Belfast City Council appears as one of the chosen cities. Just in that right sidebar there, you'll see Belfast. You see there, Belfast City Council.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
That's a really weird, like,
isn't that astonishing?
It's like, look, ABB, Access Israel, Google,
yep.
Bloomberg Associates,
so
Belfast City Council.
So there you go. Belfast City Council is up there in lights. And it was one of the cities, those seem to be partners that are listed there, but
yeah,
it was one of the cities that was chosen to be an exemplar city.
Chimay, actually.
Yeah. So it was chosen to be an exemplar city for this G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance, as well as London and Leeds, I believe it was. Those are the three UK cities. And the people who are, there are people involved in Belfast City Council who had kind of been nominated and chosen then to serve on some of the governing bodies of the Smart Cities Alliance. And so what the WEF is very good at doing is saying, right, small parish bureaucrat, come and be with us, and we will kind of laud you and make it clear that you're an extraordinarily important person. And it's not corruption as such, but it's kind of pandering to people's egos. You know, people who essentially have been city bureaucrats can be put into positions of apparent power. And therefore, you got to question where their loyalties lie. Is an official from Belfast City Council who's appointed onto a World Economic Forum committee, for example, are those people's loyalties going to lie with the constituents or the taxpayers of Belfast City, or are they going to lie with the World Economic Forum? And the WEF is very good at that. You know, it has the World Leaders Program, which Trudeau was in, and then you've got business leaders.
Can we get that up? The World Leaders Program.
Yeah, and then there's the Zuckerberg, for example, was nominated as one of these potential global leaders. Yeah. So they choose people in business and commerce and government, etc., to be parts of this program.
The World Leaders, was it World Leaders?
I think it's called Leaders of the Future, or
World Economic Forum
Future Leaders.
Future Leaders, yeah, because I've seen that, and
Future Leaders. There it is.
Is this kind of similar to
the Global Leaders?
Is this kind of similar to the thing that they used to run at Queen's, that like Clinton Global Leadership thing?
It could well have been. Of course, the universities often are sponsored by the World Economic Forum or World Economic Forum partners. The other thing is that, just to go back to the smart cities thing, you know, the World Economic Forum, because
get up the list of people who are in that global, in the Young Global Leaders. See if you can get like the list of it.
So the Smart Cities Initiative, you have, as I mentioned, these local bureaucrats are appointed onto these committees. But then, of course, there are partner organisations, and those partner organisations inevitably will want to flog something to Belfast City Council. And you have organisations like Huawei, the Chinese telecoms company, which essentially have been recently stripped out of the 5G network in the United Kingdom.
Are they totally gone from it now?
Gone, yeah. Well, they're being stripped out, and of course, there's quite a lot of legacy kit in the network. So it means that if you're an official for Belfast City Council, suddenly you're going to be bombarded with an awful lot of marketing messages from global technology companies, and it's handy if you have a bit of money to spend. So of course the UK government has this program called it's organised by BEIS, one of the central government departments, and it's called the City Deal. So the City Deals are bucket loads of cash that are essentially provided to these cities. And then they can spend all of that money with WEF partners that are part of the Global Cities Alliance, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So it just seems very, very internecine, you know, and that the World Economic Forum is facilitating this whole program of relationship building, which ultimately results in national governments spending an awful lot of money. And also you got to question the loyalty of the people who are involved in these programs. Is the loyalty with the constituents and the taxpayer, the ratepayer, or is the loyalty to the WEF?
Yeah, and you don't have to go to Satanic Elite and the psychic vampires and the intergalactic space government. Like you don't have to get there to be like, look, this is concerning that there is a group who are unelected, privately funded, very, very well connected, and deciding that they're going to do, basically, they're just going to like work on whatever they want the future to look like.
Absolutely.
And we don't get a say in it. And that's the part that irks me. And when you try to bring attention to it, like the conspiracy theory labels come out, you know, they start throwing all of those things at you. And it just, sometimes I'm like, why can't we say that it's a dangerous thing to have a bunch of very disconnected, very, very wealthy people all chums with our politicians and shaping them around a singular ideology and group? It's like that just seems like a bad idea. You know, like I said, you don't have to get to the crazy accusations.
Absolutely. And it used to be that public service was just that. You know, you had elected officials that were often elected based on their life experiences and their life skills, and they, you know, maybe they were retired school teachers or whatever, you know, but they had invested time and effort into their communities, and the only laurels that they were expecting were to maybe serve the constituents in an unpaid or a very low paid way in order to better the community and improve the infrastructure or whatever, you know. In England, for example, you had parish councils where and often the subject of much derision, but again, they're locally based, they're often unpaid. They want to see the fabric of their communities improved. They're not expecting any financial gain. And I think I mentioned when we last spoke, I was reading Thatcher's biography. You know, when Thatcher, you know, when she entered Parliament in the early 70s, you know, the stipend paid to MPs was derisory. You know, it meant that only people really who were approaching the end of their careers, perhaps maybe it skewed everything towards more elderly members of Parliament. But the fact is that people were going into politics not because they would get a huge salary and associated expenses and also be able to sit on the boards of numerous corporates out of it. They were doing it primarily because they felt they could offer something, they could contribute something. Now it's all upended. And I think it does relate to the lack of talent. You know, it's an easy way, an easy access to, you know, the crown jewels. If you can get a position of power and then get all of the associated contacts and influence and corporate connections from that. But it's also, you know, I think Mussolini said that there wasn't much difference between totalitarianism and corporatism. And I think that has never been more the case. You know, corporatism and the lip service that the corporates pay to government-defined narratives is quite remarkable. And I think it's been revelatory for me as much as anybody. You know, I've worked for many of these organizations over the years, and I've found it just astonishing how much compliance there's been and how much the corporates have towed the party line, the party being the global party.
Yeah, it's the concerning part, or the part that really weirds me out about it, is that like we watched this happen, and the people don't seem terrified by this fusion of corporations and government. So like I mentioned the truckers earlier in Canada. Like they're freezing their bank accounts because they've decided just like they weren't even like the people, they weren't even like on the street like defacing something, or they weren't even like in the trucks honking, as much as that's, you know, burning down, you know, Portland or you know setting places on fire is fine because protests don't have to be peaceful, right? You know, CNN. But honking is literally fascist violence. So, you know, these people whose bank accounts are being frozen aren't even the people committing the fascist violence. They chose to contribute a few pounds or a few dollars to help a cause that they believe in. And they're having their bank accounts frozen. And none of the politicians in any of our in Britain, in America, like there's like crickets about it. And it's like, why do you want to do the same fucking thing here?
Yeah, I know it's really is incredible that you know, here we have supposedly some of the greatest Western democracies going down the rabbit hole of dystopia.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for us in the comments below. Let me know what you thought and if you'd like to see more of this from the show. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.